No, it was walkthrough. We walked through yesterday, we walked through today. Just trying to get them the plan as quickly as possible to allow them, I mean, there's a lot of information going at them. That's always the challenge, right, on a Thursday night game. So we try to get them the information as quickly as possible and give them time to digest it, to go through it, to get to the detail. And So our guys did a nice job today locking in.
Matt, is it any different, easier, harder, or whatever, that it's a Thursday game so early in the year versus later in the year, or not really?
I think they all have their challenges. I think a lot of it is just, are you hurt by injuries? That's a big deal on these Thursday night games. How many guys do you have out? But we had a plan for just our preparation and our process in regards to how we were going to game plan, and we were able to jump ahead a little bit throughout training camp. And then, obviously you take into account week one, but it's still limited film, and just make some adjustments from there.
Speaking of injuries, obviously you got some issues in the offensive line. Any feel for Banks or Zach?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll give them all the way up to game time to see where they're at. Certainly two guys that have a lot of experience, and so that's, I'm not as concerned about them. We're not really, we're walking through, but there's no live reps this week, so we'll just see where we're at.
Nothing long-term, though, even if they can't go this
Yeah,
week?
nothing long-term.
What do you think of the rotation with Ryan and Morgan?
Yeah, I thought those guys did a nice job. Both went in, and that's I guess it's a good problem to have when you feel like you got multiple guys that are worthy of being out there and playing. So that's something that we'll keep on. It could change week to week, but it'll be a competitive situation throughout the course of the season.
Not every team in the league strives to have that complementary football. Some do it better than others. When you have this situation where you have the type of belief that you have in your defense, does that change anything for you, whether it's being more aggressive, less aggressive, offensively, knowing that your defense is got that complementary piece?
Yeah, I think it's game to game. I think it's circumstantial, I would say, just depending upon who you're playing. The flow of the game certainly plays a big part in the decision-making process of how aggressive you want to be. But you always go in with a certain, I guess, mindset or mentality of how you think you need to win the game. And then you just kind of adjust from there.
We saw, obviously, Edgerrin Cooper's 12 tackles take place, but as you look back on his game from Sunday, what did you see from him specifically?
Yeah, I thought he did a lot of great things, and I loved, all in all, just the entire defense, the urgency at which we played with. I feel like it's the best I've seen from our group since I've been here. So that is, it was inspiring to me to watch those guys go out and play. And I think when you get like that, it's contagious, and everybody kind of elevates their game. And so that's exactly what we need each and every week. And we got a hell of a challenge this week against, in my opinion, one of the top offenses in the game. They got a ton of weapons with McLaurin, Debo, Zach Ertz, obviously Jaden Daniels. There's nothing he can't do. So then you got guys like Eckler, and they just got a lot of players that they can get the ball to. So it's going to be a great challenge for our defense.
That play style you mentioned, is that emphasized, prioritized throughout the entire offseason, or where does that kind of come from?
Yeah, absolutely. It starts day one, first meeting of OTAs, of what is our identity going to be. And so, yeah, it's heavily emphasized.
What did Dan Quinn mean for your coaching career?
Oh man, I can't even. It was invaluable to me. Like, I'm pretty certain I wouldn't be standing right here right now if it weren't for being with DQ for those 2 years in Atlanta, and just changed my whole mindset in regards to just how much fun you can have within the building, yet still get down to business. And it should be fun. We're coaching ball. These guys are playing ball, and it was a great environment. And I thought it was a true brotherhood that we had, and that's something that we certainly try to instill here as well.
Why did you guys decide to bring back the captains, and what do you think of the 7 guys, the players elected?
Yeah, I thought, first of all, it was, we formed a leadership committee, and I told those guys, I feel like these are our captains, but those guys wanted to vote for it, and there's got to be a cutoff point at some point. But I certainly think those guys are worthy of that recognition. They've all done the little things and holding the high standard. And I told them that the eyes are always going to be on them, and there's no off switch, both in the building and out of the building. So you got to be on point all the time. You guys got to set the standard and uphold the standard from everybody else. But I also think there's a lot of other guys, just because they're not quote unquote captains, that aren't great leaders on our football team.
Matt, how would you describe the added challenge of the pass rush going against a quarterback like this versus a guy like Goff last week?
Yeah, this guy, you got to be super disciplined in your approach, because if you give him an edge or give him a gap up front, he can take off. And I mean, there's too much evidence over the course of all the last season, and then obviously one game this year, of just him beating people with his legs. And he's a guy that's not necessarily going to just go out, get what he can, get down and slide. He might continue on and go. So he presents a real challenge for our defense.
That the way you split the reps or snaps with your wide receivers, is that sustainable? Or, as the season goes on, do you have to play a guy who's getting hotter, more snaps?
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's game to game. A lot of it's just how guys are feeling. Sometimes it could be like this last game, we went in with the mindset of less 11 personnel, and we were going to do more 12 and 21, and you saw some of the two-back stuff that we were doing. So it could be week to week. I would say with some of the guys that hadn't practiced, we were trying to keep them within a range of a certain number of snap counts.
From an offensive play calling perspective, what's the challenge when you face guys like Micah or Lucas, who maybe they'll be at one play, maybe they'll be a tackle, and you're just never quite sure where you're going to find them?
Well, you just said the answer.
Well, I don't know what it means for you, though. I mean, what's the challenge as far as preparing for that? Or is it
Well, because if you don't know where somebody's going to line up, if you know that somebody's always going to line up on the right side at defensive end, well, we can do things to try to eliminate them as much as possible, whether it's always putting a tight end or receiver or back or somebody there to chip them on the way out, or always sliding your protection that way. It gets more challenging when you start moving people around, and now we got to ID and find them, and then it's just all the complements off that. A lot of it is just what type of front structures are you getting in, whether it's you're getting into 5 down looks. Now it's a little bit harder to slide your line to a certain guy. So I would say there's a lot of layers to your question.
Do you think the Parsons effect, beyond just his production or just beyond what he influences other guys being able to do, just the excitement it's created in your locker room, is that real? Can you feel that?
Yeah, I think so. I also think we just talked about style of play, and just watching him run to the football. I thought that was pretty special and pretty inspiring as well, both in the run game and in the pass game.
Were you similarly inspired by your running backs picking up blitzes the way they did?
That was the best that I've seen in my time here. So those guys saved a lot of plays. They did a great job, because I think Detroit does a really good job of getting into the gaps and just getting penetration. So you got to get on those guys quickly, and they cause you. There are a couple times when we have to pass it off between the guard and the halfback, and now the halfback's on a 3 technique, which isn't always great, but our guys did a really good job. And it's going to be the same thing this week. When you look at Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, those guys are hard to block. And I think, Washington does a really nice job of running a lot of different pick games and stunts, and putting their backers on your backs, and sometimes not the best situations. So we've got to work cut out for us.
Did you think your line was really in sync in terms of picking those type of things up, stunts, not over, pursuing or overreacting?
Yeah, I thought our pass protection was really solid last week, and I think we got another, like I said, another great challenge in front of us.
You guys put so much emphasis into each opponent each week, 1-0 each week. From a human nature standpoint, when you're opening against division rival, when you have the Commanders now coming in and you know they're fresh off an NFC Championship game, does it heighten anything in terms of urgency when the opponent kind of speaks for themselves?
I mean, from a coach's standpoint, I would say no, but I don't know about from the players. I think you'd have to ask those guys. I'm sure there's some natural effects of that when you have a really good football team coming in here, and we have a primetime game, Thursday night football, short week, that automatically ups the level of urgency in regards to just getting not only your body right, but your mind to go play ball against a really quality opponent. So I think it's just a cumulative effect.
Jordan mentioned that you guys got an early start, at least in the game, scoring early, and it not necessarily dwindled out, but it wasn't as complete of a game as he would have wanted it to be. After watching film, what went into that, what was behind that, and how do you make sure that it's a more complete game on Thursday?
Well, I think there was a couple situations where certainly before the end of the half, we didn't want to have to punt the ball back. We get a short yardage situation, and we tried that little trick play, if you will, that didn't look so tricky. It didn't look so good, but we allowed too much penetration in the backfield and couldn't get our runner going. And then we had a couple other short yardage situations where we didn't convert, and I think that leads to just, the desire to want more. I mean, we go out there, we have a 3rd and 1, and we got stuff for like I don't know what we lost on the play, but yeah, there's definitely room for improvement, I would say.
Good.
All right, have a great night.
Thanks.
Good, take any questions you may have.
I think the official stats had Nick Neiman with 4 tackles on Sunday. What'd you think of his debut?
Yeah, I think the statistics were right. He had 4 tackles.
What made him so effective for you?
He got in the right place at the right time and wrapped him up. Did a good job. He's made a lot of tackles in space. That's what he's done in his whole career.
What's the challenge this week against Washington?
Well, just they got a left-footed punter. We haven't seen one of those yet this year. And a Dan Quinn team and a Larry Izzo team plays with great energy, great physicality. They're well coached, and I've been going against Izzo since he was a player. So this will be a big challenge is to match their energy and their physical play.
Was the plan all along to go with Golden first and then Reed on punt returns, or did you have a reason for switching up on
I think
that?
we have a lot of options, so we'll see how it goes, where we are in the field, and who goes out there.
What did you think of the way that Savion attacked the kickoff return his first time?
Yeah, I think it was fun to get him out there, first look at it, and I think we have to do a little bit better job of not getting a penalty and see if we can give him a crease.
I have no idea what the status of Bo Melton is, but in case he doesn't play, what would you miss without him out there on Thursday?
Well, again, we'll just wait and see what the game brings. So I don't mess with those injuries too much. We'll see who shows up and plays in the game. Good. Thank you.
We made it. We made it. Yeah, I mean, it honestly feels like Friday, so which is kind of crazy, but we're here, and we made it.
This week feel longer than a Sunday to Sunday week in some ways?
It's an interesting week because as soon as you put the game to bed that night, you just immediately go back to work and you do, 2 or 3 days work within one day, and then you come today and it's really Thursday and Friday. So you kind of you have a lot to do in very little time, so you just go, and here we are. So you're able to get a little bit more done because it's earlier in the season, so we had time in camp and time, before we played the Lions to kind of get a head start on this one. So that does make it for us a little bit easier than maybe it would have on a normal week. But look, it's easier for us as coaches than it is for the players, right? For us, it's not sleeping and thinking, and for our players, it's making sure that their bodies feel well. And I always say this on a Thursday game, I give these guys a ton of credit for how hard they play and how physical they play to go and do it again in such a short period of time. I have a ton of respect for them, and for that, I'll stay up and do everything that I can possibly to help them play their best and win the game.
When you get to Thursday, are you just trying to clear your mind at that point, or are you still going over your play sheets and call sheets?
Like as far as this Thursday?
Personally,
Yeah, for the next 2 days, I'll kind of go back now that everything's been installed to the players, and I'll just kind of watch film and go through it again just to make sure it's clear-headed and, catch my breath a little bit and go through it again and make sure that I like everything that we installed. And there might still be some tweaks up to the game. But in all honesty, I think you always kind of work to the game and then through the game. I've never been a big believer in the haze in the barn on Friday and you just go. You work through the game, you get new ideas. I mean, something might come in the third quarter of the game, so you just never stop. And that's how we'll be, and that's how I'll be studying it until the game's over.
Jeff, was Micah able to play a little bit more than maybe you thought? What did you think?
More than I thought. I thought he was going to play the whole game. So, I mean, I wasn't going to take him out. Maybe. I'm not sure. To be honest with you, when I was up there, I wasn't counting his reps. I was just hoping that he would continue to go back out there. But I know they had a range they wanted him to get to because the guy, I mean, we've barely known him for a week. He hasn't practiced much, so I mean, we had to take care of him too.
Who monitors that, keeps track of that stuff so you don't have to?
Well, we have coaches in the booth who are doing that. We have other support staff that's doing that, and DeMarcus is down there too. Just kind of keeping an eye on that. I certainly was not keeping an eye on that. And if anybody asked me, I would have told them it was 10 less than it was.
What'd you make?
Go ahead.
I was just saying, what'd you make of his impact? Just him changing the game like you thought he would?
Yeah, for his limited snaps, I mean, the way he ran to the ball, the pressures, the sack, I mean, it's kind of what I was hoping he would do. And hopefully he'll do more, and we'll be able to use him more the more we have him in practice and the more reps that he can play. And, the more comfortable he is with the guys in his room to play off each other, to run games together, to really learn the defense. So I thought he did an awesome job. And the more I'm around him, the more I'm impressed with him, not just as a player, but as a person and the way he approaches it, the way he's trying to have relationships with his teammates. He's a fun guy to be around. He loves ball, and he's smart, and I respect him a ton, and I'm glad he's on our team.
So given just how little you actually practice in a week like this, would it be hard to expect him to play much more than he did the other night?
I hope he plays more than he did the other night, but we'll see. And I know that's what Matt kind of said the same thing. It all depends on how he feels, right? And then we'll kind of go from there. And then hopefully pretty soon we're talking about him not coming out of the game. So hopefully this will be one of the last weeks for that. But we got to ramp him up. And I get it, guys. Big picture. I mean, he had an impact on the game for sure, and so did the rest of our D-line, and so did the rest of our team. I mean, that was one of the – I told the guys after the game, just being up there and seeing how fast they played and seeing how hard they played, and they ran to the ball and they tackled and they're punching at the ball and the excitement, and then watching it on film the next day, I mean, that's probably one of my proudest moments as a coach, just like – I mean, they were relentless for the entire game, and it was everybody. Like, everybody who stepped foot on that field – I mean, they just played so hard, and I appreciate that so much as a coach, and it's a credit to the staff, it's a credit to the players, and we got to do it again.
Micah told us this afternoon, when he got to the fourth quarter, he's still feeling pretty good, and he wanted those snaps to get into football shape, right? To be out there and get that. I mean, you have to account that this is almost his time to condition for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's what practice is for. But so he didn't have practice, so he's getting that in the game, and he was tired. I mean, he knows he's got to get in football shape. I mean, and he's trained so much and he plays so hard. It's just his play style, he's going to get tired. But, this week we really didn't practice, so it's going to continue to be an ongoing process.
So he just showed up the other day, and he ends up playing the game. He's playing defensive end. He's playing defensive tackle. A, how are you able to pull it off? And then B, what's the benefit of him moving to different positions?
We pulled it off by meeting extra with him, and then again, I give him a lot of credit. I mean, he's sharp. I mean, he retains stuff really quick. He asks good questions. He meets extra. Give credit to DeMarcus, him. He did a great job preparing. As far as, I think in football, you try to take advantage of certain matchups. If you feel, and this is never disrespect to any other player on another team, it's just not how I am, but if you feel like there's a guy that you want to attack with a certain player, then let's move him around. If there's a certain protection look we can get by putting him in a different area, let's move him around. If there's somebody else we can free up by putting him over there so they all go this way, let's put him there. So I think we have to continue to figure out how to win games and figure out our matchups. And if we feel like we have a mismatch or we feel like there's something in protection that we want to kind of exploit, then that's our job to do that. Like I've always said, I'm not just going to put a guy because he's a DN. I'm not just going to put him a DN and let him go. I mean, that's our job to help him and help our team.
When you're going against a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, the adage is to contain him in the pocket, right? Just because there's not a lot of big guys that can run with him. When you have Micah Parsons, are you able to be more aggressive in your pass rush and try to affect him as a passer to not just contain him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, he's impressive because he'll stay in the pocket and throw the ball just like he'll run and run to throw. And, I mean, for what he's done in a short period of time in this league, I mean, it's incredible. I have a ton of respect watching him. I've never coached against him. I've never met him, but it jumps off the tape. You talk about Micah's speed. And again, Micah's got speed. You saw him running sideline to sideline in that game, but we have other guys who have speed too. I mean, all of a sudden you got Coop out there, Quay out there. Watch how fast Van Ness and RG were running around. I mean, we got guys that can roll, and we're going to have to because he's fast. But we played fast as a defense. And again, I can't tell you, like how can I explain this? When I'm watching film, when I hit the pause button at the end of the play and you see 11 guys all in the clip, I mean, that is like the greatest thing in the world for a coach. One, it shows they're bought in. Two, it shows that they love each other because they're playing hard for each other, right? And they're giving everything they have to each other. I mean, that's one of the greatest things as a coach. It's you find out a lot about your team when you hit the pause button. You find out how much they love football. You find out how much they love each other and how hard they're going to play for each other. I mean, that's what we're going to have to do again Thursday night because that's a fast player and it's a fast team.
What percentage did you see that from Sunday's film when you paused and saw
I saw it more than I've ever seen it since I've been here, and I am hopeful that continues to get better and better each week. And that's not easy. That's hard. And we're going to keep pushing each other, coaches and players, to make sure that happens again.
What do you attribute that to? Because we've heard you talk about it from the moment you got here, and it's not like your guys haven't done it, right? They have bought in, and they have rallied 11 hats to the wall, but if it's to that degree, why do you think it was different?
Well, I think you really started to see it at the end of last year. And remember, I told you the most important thing was how could we get back to where we finished the season? And the challenge was where we finished the season last year, I thought our play style was really good. I thought we played hard. That goes back to guys knowing what they're doing, guys having confidence, and guys not being afraid to make a mistake. Those are the most important things we talk about all the time is taking the ball away and how hard we're going to play. In order to do that, you have to have confidence. And that's what you earn on the practice field, and you practice that hard. In order to do that, when you get into a game between you and your coaches, and our coaches have done a wonderful job, I thought, in that game plan last week to get them ready, they got to know what they're doing. And they can't be afraid to make a mistake, so they're kind of tiptoeing into things. And you're not worried about missing a tackle. You're going to go run as fast as you can and take a shot, and you're not going to break down because you know there's 10 other guys following you, right? So I think it started at the end of last year. It continued in OTAs. It continued in training camp. And then I just think they let it all out. It's a confident group that loves to play football, that loves to play with each other. They're coachable, and they just kind of got together, and that's how hard they played. But that's the standard now. And if they're not doing it, then they shouldn't be on the field, and someone else should go in the game.
Is there,
Go ahead, Paul.
is there an added challenge to defending the run when a number of different players are utilizing the running game by the offense that you now have to account for?
When the quarterback can run, that's probably the hardest challenge because now you have to account for him, not just on pass plays, but if it's a designed quarterback run and they're going to spread you out and try to create extra numbers, that is certainly a challenge.
You intimated before the season started that you had some plans for Edger and Cooper that you would really like to use. But now that Parsons is here, does that change? I mean, he's sort of the chess piece. Can Cooper just have that kind of season without you doing anything special?
I think we have a lot of chess pieces, and I think that's my job to move them around and put them in those places. I think you got multiple chess pieces on the front. I think you have them in the linebacker room, and you have them in the back end. I think, like here's a good example. Xavier McKinney didn't have an interception, so no one right now is talking about what Xavier McKinney did in that game. That's one of the best games I've seen him play. His disguise, his communication. There were some times when Evan intercepted the one pass, I didn't know if we were going to be right. And all of a sudden he popped out and got to where he was supposed to. So it was X, it was the pressure, and then it was Evan that were all involved in the interception. The other thing X did was he played the run about as well as I've seen him. And the way we inserted him into different spots to do that and how physical he was, I mean, I thought it was one of the best games that he played. It doesn't look like that from the stat line, but there's another chess piece, right? So we're fortunate right now to have a bunch of guys who, you know, can retain, can take it to the field in year 2, and they give you the capability to do that.
I know Sunday's game was ancient history now, but you're going to play more backs like this, so I'll ask it. Gibbs caught 10 passes against you for 30 yards. How did you? What's the key to doing that and replicating that in future games?
Well, if you look on tape, a lot of the checkdowns that they've hit on people were explosives, right? I mean, Goff drops back, they got those dynamic receivers, or it could be anybody, and you get so much depth and coverage. So now the check down is caught, and it goes for about 15. When you start to pressure a quarterback, and it speeds him up, what that allows you to do in some underneath zones is when the quarterback has to quickly get rid of the ball and check the ball down and doesn't have time to sit back and try to throw it deep and allow the defenders to get even deeper, it's all tied in. So if you're a Coop and the quarterback's about to get hit and you feel it, you can start to break faster because you're sped up. So that's rush plus coverage tied into zone coverage, which makes it, you saw a lot of catch tackles. As soon as they caught the ball, there were multiple people there. And that starts up front, and then it goes to those guys getting their feet in the ground, getting their eyes on the quarterback, and anticipating when he's going to set and transfer and throw the ball. And I thought they did a really good job of doing that. We didn't do that good enough last year. So that was a big emphasis that we made. But then give credit to the players because, I mean, I thought the way they broke on the ball, I mean, 10 catches for 30 yards, yeah, that's, I mean, when I heard that the other day, that was like kind of shocking to me, but that's an unbelievable job of those guys.
Jeff, you mentioned X, and you've talked about Micah's football IQ. Does that mean you're going to have another guy that's texting you and pestering you for the game plan right away? Because he was talking about your drawings already, and that you mentioned you showed him some of them, but you haven't showed them all. Like, is that the kind of guy he appears to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because he'll ask good questions, and he'll ask, you know, when he sees something where he could be placed, so you could see the wheels spinning already. And for me, honestly, I tell the defense all the time, I want their input, right? So say you're the player and you feel really good about something and you really like a certain call and you're a really good player, well, let me know, because there's a pretty good chance if I call that and you feel that way about it, that you're going to make it work and you're going to take ownership in it, right? So I'm constantly asking the players for feedback on stuff. Like, I don't care who gets the credit. I don't care whose idea it is. I just want to win, and I want them to play well. So yeah, constant communication, and I definitely believe he's going to be one of those guys.
How do you prioritize making a two-dimensional quarterback one-dimensional? Is it more important to just take the legs away, make him a passer, or it's a passing league? You want to make sure you really stop him, get him off the spot, and you might give up some runs, but don't let him be caught.
I don't think you can just do one. I think you have to be multiple and do both, and you got to keep him guessing. Right? There's going to be times he might get out and break the pocket, and then there's going to be times when hopefully he'll be in the pocket, but everything can't be designed one way. And I think we've learned that over the course of however many games, that there's times you got to take a shot and be aggressive, and you just can't be passive and sit there. And so we're definitely not going to do that.
That's got to be a concern of yours with this quarterback, because he can extend a play 6 or 7 seconds and then still get 160 yards downfield. I mean, you really got to tell your safeties, your guys in the back end, don't let anything get past you, right?
That's what we tell them every week. Don't ever let anybody get past you. But yeah, I mean, sometimes these plays, there's the start to the play, and then there's the second part, right? The first part, when you're playing a mobile quarterback, you might take his read away, you might take this away, then all of a sudden he turns and starts running, and hopefully we can get him down. But yeah, those guys are going to have to cover for a little bit longer. They're going to have to plaster. They're going to have to stay in their zones. There has to be integrity within their zones. And you got to play really disciplined football against a player like this.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.
I'll see you in a couple days.
What'd you think of what Kennard and Jordan Morgan gave you? They have to play bigger roles here on Thursday.
I thought they did a good job. They went out there and competed, kept us going, kept us, efficient. and did a nice job.
What have you learned about Kennard just in the short time he's been here?
He prepares hard. You know, he's one of those guys that came in and in a short period of time had to play. So kudos to Buckus and Coach Gordon getting those guys ready to go. But yeah, he went out, he competed. I liked it.
It'd been a long time since Jordan's gone out there and not felt any pain in his lower half. He obviously dealt with that all last season. Could you tell a difference just in terms of his accuracy, just feeling better?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it all off season, basically from, you know, just him running around and doing stuff. But yeah, he looked good out there. He looked comfortable. Obviously, our O-line did a really nice job protecting him and our running backs. So yeah, it was good to see him out there just making plays and running around.
Steno, Matt was saying that that's the best he's seen the running backs in protection. What do you attribute that to? And I assume you agree with that assessment.
Yeah, no, they did a phenomenal job. What do I attribute it to? I mean, it was a big emphasis this week, you know, obviously stepping up against their pass rush, and they did it. They answered the call, and they really were really physical inside and kept the pockets nice and firm for Jordan. There's a lot of pick stunts and things like that they were trying to throw at us, and I thought our running backs did a phenomenal job.
How much better do you think you guys are offensively when you're able to be diversified with your personnel groupings? Like, I don't know how many two-back sets I saw last season, but I saw quite a few on Sunday. But you also, you know, you can go 11 when you want.
Yeah.
You got all kinds of options.
Yeah, I think that's really important, especially like giving problems for defenses, for them having to prepare for all kinds of things. And we're really versatile with who we can put out there. And not only that, just like guys can stretch the field in all the different personnels. We can run the ball in all the different personnel. So that's a big thing that we try and stay balanced as an offense for sure.
Is that one of the benefits, you know, when you play 5 wide receivers, that you have matchups that maybe you like, or you can, you know, run guys in and it's a different guy running around?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Just keeping them fresh throughout the game. And we had a few guys, you know, as camp was ending, that were still kind of on the injury report. So it was really important to just get a lot of guys out there playing, getting experience, and then taking the load off each other as far as play time.
The Washington pass rush and then how they pair that with their linebackers is what have you seen from them and the challenge there?
They're really similar to Detroit in terms of they do a really good job running stunts and using their linebackers to create pressure. So it's going to be a big challenge again this week. They're really talented up front. They're really physical, and they do a good job attacking and trying to attack the quarterback and get pressure on him. They were pretty effective last week. So again, it's going to be a big challenge for us this week.
When asked about the fast start against the Lions, Jaden Reed said, practice fast, play fast. And I thought, is that something you must tell these guys, that these first 4 or 5 reps in practice, it's got to be, you've got to be thinking like you're in a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, a lot of times we actually start practice with team reps against, you know, one-on-one, one defense versus one offense, just to kind of emphasize that, where it's like, hey, we got to start fast. You got to show up ready to go right away. Obviously, it's really important in a game to get to a fast start and control the tempo of the game.
Stone, do you think, I know everybody's a happy family and everyone's pulling for each other, but there are other factors when it comes to like targets and catches and stuff, right? We live in the real world. Do you think you guys can keep everybody happy with 10 different guys catching 2 or 3 balls, and how do you foster that to make sure it doesn't become less than great?
Yeah, I think, you know, just being around the guys that we have for the last couple of years, I don't think that really bothers these guys. Obviously, they all want to feel involved in the game plan, and we try and spread it around for sure. So it's just one of those things, like, you'll see some games where a guy might score 3 touchdowns, and then the next game a different guy scores a couple of touchdowns. So it's just one of those things where, like, at any game, one guy could go off compared to another guy. So it's kind of the weird place that we're in as an offense, which is a good problem to have. But yeah, I just think being around these guys, we're a team. We play for each other, and that's, I think, what's going to sustain us throughout the season, and hopefully why we'll be special.
After you had the opportunity to look back at Sunday's game, what did you see from Dontavian Wicks and what he did beyond just the pass catching part?
Yeah, did a good job blocking, and he's a pretty physical player in the run game, and it was just good to see him out there running around. Again, he'd had some limited reps in camp for the last few weeks, and it was good to see him out there just making plays and playing fast.
Why do you use Brooks instead of Wilson in the two-back stuff? Is that a blocking thing mostly, or?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's for that, and he's good with the ball in his hands too. Yeah, it's just one of those packages that we just like to use him as opposed to Wilson in that regard.
What do you think of how Golden played?
Good. Yeah, it was good. It's great to see him out there, you know, get rookies out there, and anytime they can go out, play well, play fast, there's always things to clean up. But I was encouraged by how he was out there, made some plays, and yeah, it was fun to watch.
Stunner, what'd you think of what Reed gave you, and what's the challenge of trying to manage his work during the week with that foot so he's able to do stuff for you on Sundays?
Well, the good thing now is like he's at a point in his career, it's his third year, so like it's not like he's a rookie and you're like, okay, we have to get you reps, otherwise we don't know what you're going to do. He's been around, he's smart, he studies, he's, you know, helping coach guys on the sidelines when he's not out there, being a leader with all that stuff. So he's got a good mental side of the game now where like you can tell him stuff and he'll just know what to do. So that gives you a little comfort as a coach. But then he still gets out there and practice, and then you just kind of have to pick the plays. All right, we want to make sure he gets these reps if they're new or whatever it is in every game plan to make sure that he specifically takes those.
Is your game plan any different if one or both the linemen, the injured linemen, don't play?
Yeah, I mean, you always alter it a little. You know, it could be, you know, more of one thing or the other. I'm not really going to talk about what we're going to change, but if that's the case, we have a plan for that. Yeah, definitely.
You know, on Reed's touchdown, did you guys have to work hard on that pick, you know, type of play where, where you run that and you make sure you don't run
Yeah,
that?
oh no, that's a big emphasis, you know, with how you coach it. And I think Coach Vrabel and Coach Mahaffey, they did a great job with that, just coaching it up and just teaching the technique of avoiding the guy, forcing him underneath in order to get leverage on the throw. So yeah, it was a good job by everybody.
How does that work? Like, can he just stand there, and if the guy runs into him,
Yeah.
it's the guy's fault? It's the
Yeah,
defender's
as long
fault?
as you don't initiate contact 1 yard down the field, you're all right. But if you go hit him and he backs up 1 yard off the ball, then it's a pick penalty. Yeah.
You guys good?
Cool. Thanks, guys. See you.